The more well-versed and understanding in terms of human behavior you are, the more success you're going to have. But it's going to be a lot more predictable in terms of your leadership. So the first pillar is their character. Your character as a business is aligned, because we all know that when we have people who have different values to what we do, they come into a business, they don't fit, they're toxic, and we've got to get rid of them. Now, when we talk about the actual costs, and ARI, the Australian HR Institute, say it is up to 1.5 times somebody's salary to replace them. And taking into that might be the recruitment fee, the time invested, the downtime in terms of the disengagement, and all of those new onboarding costs. So we have to be really, really, really scrupulous, if you want to use that word, in terms of our recruiting practices and our interview practicing, our onboarding practicing, because if we're not setting people up with the tools that they need, they are going to fail.
Welcome back to another episode of the Property Management Podcast. I'm Kylie Walker, and thank you so much for being here. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most critical and often overlooked elements in any successful business: building a great team. And whether you're leading a small team or managing a large group of professionals, you know that a team is only as strong as the people you surround yourself with. But creating a high-performance team isn't just about hiring the right skill set. You heard me. It's not about hiring just the right skill set. It's about aligning people, purpose, and performance. And that's exactly what we're diving into today with Julie Davis, a leading expert with over 20, 30 years of support, even more. I'm not sure how long, but she's been around the real estate industry for a very long time. And she loves supporting leaders through the full team life cycle. Julie has had a tremendous career in real estate and has seen firsthand the struggles many leaders face when great people are placed in roles without the right structure or support. And I have been guilty of that, let me tell you. She's passionate about helping businesses align their people, build momentum, and ultimately create sustainable growth through her triple impact framework, a methodology she developed to address people, performance, and profit inside businesses. In this episode, Julie's going to walk us through common patterns and pain points she sees in teams that just aren't clicking, and how focusing on the people piece can transform everything. So if you're a leader or a business owner struggling to align your team, this episode is packed with valuable insights to help you create the team you need for long-term success. So grab a pen, take some notes, and let's dive in with Julie Davis to explore the triple impact that can change everything for your team and your business. Julie Davis, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Property Management Podcast. You are no stranger to this podcast, but for those of people who may be living under a rock and don't know who you are, can you share a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Absolutely, I would love to, Kylie, and thank you for the invitation of being on your podcast. Well, I guess I'll probably start with my real estate experience. It goes back 3 decades. So back in the day where we used to just do everything very manually and with the simple days. I guess my career has always been in real estate in some form or another or shape, but the last 15 odd years has been stepping more into working with real estate leaders. And I really saw the gap, and I saw within that, particularly within that leadership role, we were losing really good people because they were misunderstood or misaligned in terms of what they were doing. So we saw a lot of good people that could have come into the industry that didn't. We also saw people struggling without structure and support. So I guess that's probably the foundational thing of what I do, working with people now, with business owners and with teams within the industry. But I guess expanding in terms of my skill set, we do some coaching, we work with lots of female leaders in particular. But I totally love what I do.
And you do it very well as well. So like you said, you work across recruitment, onboarding, leadership, and retention. So, what are some of the common patterns or pain points that you see in teams that just aren't clicking? And as a business owner myself, I can totally attest there's a lot of pain points and there's a lot of things that just don't gel. And there's a lot I have learnt from you along the way. So, what are you seeing in businesses today?
I think it's like the 80-20 rule. We've got some fantastic operators in our industry, but our industry is made up of a lot of people that were salespeople or property management come into then into a leadership role into running a business, which is really quite different. I guess if I could probably encapsulate it, it would be that as an industry, we don't set people up for success. And when I say that, there's like not a lot of clarity in terms of what the role and the job description is, in terms of what is the expectations of that person being hired. For those who know me, you'll know foundationally everything that we do is based on someone's strengths and where they've got sustainability in the role. They have to have a skill set, of course, but those two things go hand in hand because if we're operating just from a skill set and it's not your natural energy flow, you won't have sustainability. And I think with being a real estate business owner, they wear so many hats. They're mostly responsible for the revenue that comes into the business. They're responsible for leading people, training people, creating an onboarding system. And in a lot of cases, that's done really poorly on all of those levels. And we've got an industry where the business owners aren't particularly supported in terms of really creating that feedback and knowing how do I lead and manage people and coach people.
And I guess I just had another podcast guest prior to this. And we just realized that there's a lot of gaps in the industry in training that don't train real estate business owners on how to run real estate businesses. So not only do we not have a lot of us come into it from previous careers or jobs where we weren't leaders, and then we also don't know the accounting side of things and managing cash flows and profit and losses. So, but team building is a huge, big part of running a successful small business or any business, let alone real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really critical thing is that we support or have or the tools that we can actually support business owners to whether it is actually guiding them through like a structured program that will facilitate what they need to have in that people side of the business. Because people are either going to be your biggest asset or your biggest liability. And in the center of that is the responsibility of how do we bring on people and have people grow within our team and stay with us. I was just talking to a client just before over in Adelaide, and they've got like such a stable team. That business has been in operation for 25 years. And two of the clients I was talking to this morning, one had been there for 25 years and the other 20 years. So, how do we create an environment and a culture where that number one is we have a really good value proposition of why people should work for us. We have it when we're going out to get a listing or a new management, but we don't have a value proposition in terms of what would be the reason that a good person would come and work for us, and then what's the structure and pathway that we put there for that person. And so I think critical to all of that is to make sure that you've got the right people in the right roles, doing the right things with the right tools and right leadership and accountability at that time. I think what has happened now is that we're so overloaded with information. There's so much information. You need to have a strategy and you need to have a plan or a blueprint for what you're going to do. Because if you have just information, you're getting information from so many different sources and it's just confusion.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. There is, since COVID, there's been a lot of information and content online, especially that how do you work through all that content and that information and know what you actually need for your business. So, and I guess the clarity that you give a lot of business owners is around your three core pillars, which
Mhm.
is people, performance, and profit. So can you maybe walk us through each of those and what it means and how that
Yeah.
connects and helps business owners?
Yeah, absolutely. So coming back to like it's really your recruitment process, your people process is really critical. We need to make sure that we've got the right standards, the right structure, and the right strength to support those people and in your recruitment process. Sadly, what we see in property management, 35% turnover. And I think part of that is we're so overwhelmed with the level of tools and programs out there to learn and to implement. It is more challenging. Legislation, it is definitely a challenging role in the property management sector for sure. And so, as hard as it is, we need to create a place of stability and growth for that person and know that they're supported. When we talk about performance, we talk about like clear expectations. That comes back to when we look at a role, it's mostly made up of tasks. What I would prefer to look at it and have somebody in a seat saying, what problem do I solve for our clients? And that under that banner comes a whole lot of different tasks that we might do, but we have to think about the outcome and what problem are we solving. And so with performance, clear expectations, particularly of people management. And this is where I always say to my clients, your most important document that you can have is your standards document. Because if we don't have clear standards and we're actually implementing those standards, we end up like in some cases with the lunatics running the asylum. So to have that clear framework of expectations, policies, and then also a really good support structure in terms of how do we do the job. Profit's not just financial. When we profit in our life, we can profit through the quality of our lifestyle. We profit in ways in terms of being sustainable within the business to be able to make some choices. We do see in real estate, and particularly in the sales sector of real estate, it's a risk and reward business. So it's either a win or lose situation. And we've got people earning a ridiculous amount of money. And therefore, I think the expectations, they lose touch with the reality of people's day-to-day lives. And they also, I think one of the things, particularly in that high income area, is like, let's teach people how to be smart with the money that they've got, buy a property, by appreciating assets in terms of that's going to secure them for that time when they do want to retire. And particularly in our industries, get into property and buy some property and build your wealth through that as well. It's good cash creation business. Unless you're smart, you have to make it a wealth creation business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Can totally agree with that. And again, there's not a lot of coaching around that. How do we manage our finances? How do we manage our debt levels? How do we manage our tax bills?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think
they're
it,
all definitely challenges. And I can personally say I've done the wrong thing with a lot of them. I had to learn some lessons the very hard way. And that's why I guess we can have conversations like this because people like me have made lots of those mistakes. And
think
I'm
we
sure I'm not
become
alone.
we become wiser in our old age.
Speak for yourself.
Well, at level 65 now, so that's pretty exciting, but I feel like I'm just getting started, which is awesome.
But you're a lifelong learner. You're always willing
And
to
a
learn
lifelong,
and grow.
I
You're
always,
always doing a new course, always upskilling yourself. So I think that's really important for all of us is to take that leaf out of your book and you get to a certain level of knowledge. And the world we're living in now, everything's changing so quickly.
oh my
I
God.
just learned, did a new meta course and meta ads course, and now there's another new one. And I'm like, oh my God, I've
It is
just
absolutely crazy. I'm really enjoying AI and embracing using AI at the moment because definitely the thing is about working smarter, not harder, and then finding and embracing ways of how we can become more efficient. And when I think about, for me, becoming more efficient is how can I serve my clients better? And particularly with our platform where we have all of those resources to be able to what else might a client need? What else might be useful beyond what we've got currently got about over 100 documents in there, or when I say document, pathways for businesses. But I like to look at every different aspect of their business. I don't know everything, obviously, and that's why it's so incredibly important to surround yourself with people who are trusted that you can refer them on. So having those experts around you that you've worked with or you have total faith in them is critical.
absolutely. So let's talk about then. You just touched on your platform and your triple impact framework. What is that? And how is that going to change the way that businesses recruit and lead?
Yes, I touched on it before, which is standards, strengths, and structure. And it goes into in terms of like those three. If we look at a triangle, it's the strongest structure that there is. And I think it's like if you are missing one ingredient when you make a cake, the cake's not going to turn out. And so it's like, how do we create that impact? So it's impact for our business, impact for our team, impact for our clients. Because when we look at everything, we want to look at the client experience in terms of how we're serving them. Our brand is only ever going to be as good as the people in it, and the people in it are only ever going to be as good as the structure training standards that we have and aligned with making sure that we're looking at strengths-based roles. And of course, we use our profiling platform for that. And is there a magic bullet when it comes to recruitment? Definitely not. And we talk in recruitment as if it's solving the whole problem. Recruitment is just like one tiny fraction of the problem. What's more critical, or as part of that, is usually retention. Okay, how do we keep good people in our business? And then we've got onboarding. We just recently did an industry survey of 100 businesses, and over 80% of them did not have a structured recruitment or onboarding system that they were using within their business. So it's so critical in terms of that we need to look backwards. We want to be the best of the best in the industry and to be able to have that value proposition in the market, why people would want to engage us. But it's got to be everything that comes behind that that needs to be really well executed. Number one is have the strategy for your business of what you want from your business, your core values, and what is that, and what are the lived values. I've seen lots of words on a wall, but what we look at in terms of often within a business and where people are attracted to those standards or what the business say they are, or they go for a job interview, they're promised the world and then they get an atlas. Okay. And I think when we look at in terms of environment will win every time. And so that's why you have got to create an environment that supports your people, have them stay, but also it should be your team that who are recruiting for you, because we have a very big problem in our industry with turnover and recruitment and burnout and mental health
Yeah.
and people being ill-equipped to do a job.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I've seen that firsthand in my own business. But maybe let's break it down. Let's start at the beginning because I really want to know, like, I really am passionate about finding a solution to this. And
I know you are.
so recruitment, we either
Yeah.
we recruit people off Seek or we recruit people through recruiters. Both, in my experience, are terrible, cost a lot of money, especially the recruiters, and hasn't solved any problems that I experience in my business. What is your solution or your framework? How does that help with the recruitment and your platform? I know you've got tools and resources on there. So let's start with just talking about recruitment. How do you help solve that problem for business owners like myself?
Okay, so I think there are a number of steps, and let's go back in terms of to start with the business owner and the strategy they have in terms of the growth recruitment. Who have they got in their business, and are those people sitting in the right roles? So you're absolutely right, Kylie. And it's like any industry, there's some good recruiters and there's some not so good recruiters. But we do have to realize that recruiters are like real estate agents. They are commission based and they're salespeople. Why? So I think one of the reasons it goes so badly in most cases is that we don't look at the character of the person. We don't look at and I'm going right back to like what recruiting framework I use and that we help our clients implement. Getting really clear in terms of what does your business stand for and who are the people that you want to have in your business and you would be proud to have in your business is if we think about who is that person, what do they look like, male, female, where would they be spending their time? As we're talking holistically as a person, So we look at that, and that's part of the interview process when we talk about values and we talk about what their life goals are. The other thing is with the role is to be really clear. I hear so often, oh, we're just not really sure of the role. And I've just had my son-in-law go through a couple of situations of going into a new role and then getting there and discovering there is no role. There is no structured role in terms of what they have to do. There is no training. There is no mentoring to actually support that person in the role.
So that's the second step then. Once they've got, oh, sorry. So the first step though is getting that role clear, knowing exactly who you want, having that, knowing what to ask in the interview. That's a big one.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Are you feeling overwhelmed and thinking about selling your rent roll? Don't worry, you're not alone, and HDNU is here to help. Whether you're ready to sell now or you just want to plan for the future, the friendly and approachable team at HDNU makes the process simple and stress-free. Hello, yes please. With over 30 years of expertise, they're not just about crunching the numbers. They genuinely care about helping you maximize your agency's value and get the best outcome for you. Their sales readiness bundle is like having a trusted advisor by your side. They'll work closely with you to assess your agency's key factors, create an easy to understand heat map of your strengths and opportunities, and then sit down with you for a 90-minute workshop to guide you on what to do next. They'll look at everything from rent roll earnings and rent arrears to compliance and team performance and explain it all in plain English. If you're planning to sell soon, HDNU can even handle the whole process for you, from finding qualified buyers to negotiating the deal. Their friendly, professional team takes the stress out of selling so you can feel confident every step of the way. And to get started, simply book in a meeting with the team today. Their link is in the show notes. They're here to help you move forward with confidence. Let's be real. Compliance is one of the biggest challenges in property management, and it can be overwhelming to navigate. It's time-consuming, stressful, and let's face it, one missed compliance check could lead to serious legal and financial risks, and no one wants that. That's where Sensor Insure comes in. Powered by smart sensor technology, it offers highly competitive building and landlord insurance, bundled with an ecosystem of smart safety devices. These include tamper-proof smoke alarms and water leak detectors with automated remote testing and a 24/7 accessible audit trail. Yes, you heard me right. Sensor Insure is a game changer. It's always on and integrates seamlessly with your trust platform to streamline processes and provides live reporting across your entire rental portfolio. This ensures you're always meeting compliance requirements, giving you total peace of mind. No more waking up in the middle of the night stressed or worried that you've missed something or your team has missed something. So whether you're looking to improve your processes and efficiency, reduce stress, or protect your agency from risk, Sensor Insure has you covered. You really should see how it works. I totally encourage you to book in a free demo today by heading to sensorglobal.com or the show notes to learn more about their solutions and how they can transform your compliance game.
And I think the other thing is too, is that we are so focused on getting people inside of the industry with experience, is that we need to have a look. But when you look at it, we're a service-based business, right? So who else, what other industries could we look at that do service really well? And let's broaden and look at that. You can teach skills. You can't teach attitude. So, attitude is going to be the first thing, is that you will have somebody who has a vision, a good work ethic. And you need to be asking questions, Kylie, in terms of getting examples of, and we do a lot, I'm probably jumping over a bit here, but particularly with profiles, they're different. And anyone who's done any sort of strengths-based profiling will know that we also have blind spots as well as strengths. But what we want to know with that person, that we know typically what some of those blind spots are, is how would they solve that problem. So the more well versed and understanding in terms of human behavior you are, the more success you're going to have. But there's also, it's going to be a lot more predictable in terms of your leadership. So the first pillar is their character. Your character as a business is aligned, because we all know that when we have people who have different values to what we do, they come into a business, they don't fit, they're toxic, and we've got to get rid of them. Now, when we talk about the actual costs, and ARI, the Australian HR Institute, say it is up to 1.5 times somebody's salary to replace them. And taking into that might be the recruitment fee, the time invested, the downtime in terms of the disengagement, and all of those new onboarding costs. So we have to be really, really, really scrupulous, if you want to use that word, in terms of our recruiting practices and our interview practicing, our onboarding practicing, because if we're not setting people up with the tools that they need, they are going to fail.
Yep.
And I've heard it so often is, oh, that person's no good. Well, they were great when they come in. They were great when they come in, but all of a sudden they're no good. The question's got to be asked is, well, they could be good, but were they set up to be good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just go back to one of the points you made earlier, though. I find the interview process really hard because people can fake it in an interview. I like to think that I'm a good judge of people. I can read people really well. And I've got it wrong a lot of times. So I think the interview process shouldn't be the only place that you make a decision on hiring somebody. The second thing I think and I did wrong, was a lot of us don't check references. And they're obviously, resumes are done by ChatGPT now, so we can't trust resumes either. So how do we get that first part and really find out, how do we really understand their character, and how do we know if they align with our businesses when most of the stuff we're getting initially is BS?
Yeah, and that's so true. And if we look at it, probably the first step that you would be taking is that you would be talking to your current team, and you would be saying, we've got this role coming up. This is what the role looks like. Is there someone that you would recommend for that role? And the first thing is, are they a good human?
Yeah.
Right? That's critical. The second thing is, you're absolutely right about the resumes. They are either written by someone professionally or ChatGPT or whatever. Is we need to actually dig down and ask questions, not just look at it and say, oh yes, you've got like a lot of experience. We've got to actually dig down, and so tell us about that. Tell us about how proficient, or what would be the journey that you would take that client on. So asking really detailed questions to get examples of situations in that particular role that they were in, to give some real life examples, and particularly where did they get stuck. And I always say, like when I'm talking to someone, is what's a really great day for you in real estate? Tell me about a bad experience that you had, and how did you deal with that? Right? Because we know as an industry, you have to have a thick skin, particularly in property management. You have to be resilient. And as part of that recruitment process is a resilience test, and of how resilient are they? And give me some areas in your life where you've shown initiative. Give me some areas in terms of where you've been in a situation that is really disabling for you. How did you get out of that situation? Because what we're looking for is life skills, right? Because we're bringing life skills in.
Yeah.
And so all of that, when we look at the actual person, is we need to really, really dig deep. Now, you also might like to have one of your team with you. Particularly, we profile people before they get to the interviewing stage, so we know they're going to be a good fit for the role. Okay? Because like you and I, Kylie, we're very activating, inspiring personalities on the contribution compass. Okay? Typically, we will have very low refining energy. And what refining energy is about doing a repetitious task consistently. And I've got like the attention span, as you do too, of a goldfish, right? And so we will swap and change and procrastinate. So that's just going to happen in the team. So that's why that is critical, to have a bit of an energy map of someone. So where you've got some predictability, Because if you had someone like you or I who said that they had like a lot of strengths when it comes to systems processes, that's not going to be true. Okay. And they may have a learned skill around it, but under stress, they're going to revert back to that natural energy.
Yep.
And so it is critical when we're looking at the roles, whether it's an administration role, whether it's a service-based role, there's certain profiles that are going to have a natural aptitude towards that role. Is it necessary that might be good in that role? Well, that comes down to their skill set. And if and their life goals of what they want to have in terms of being career driven. This is a problem that we see in property management, that we don't have a lot of career property managers. They see it as there's lots of jobs advertised. I can go and get a certificate and I can go and get a job. Now, I was thinking if I was if I was a landlord and I was giving over my $1 million asset to someone, they should have a very high skill set in terms of how that is going to be managed. Exactly the same if you were to go to a stockbroker and have a share portfolio, is that person needs to have some credibility, ongoing training and skilling up. And as we have more emotional growth and career growth, that comes from being skilled and having experience in doing those things. So that's really critical as a business owner, that we're exposing people to you developing their life skills, their resilience, their actual skills that they need for that role.
Yep.
And so often what we see is they come in first day and often the business owner's not even there and they just sort of get thrown in at the deep end. And like particularly property management, how busy that is. So we really need to think as a business owner strategically, what is that experience going to be? So we've talked about character and values. We've talked about strengths and why that's so critical, especially for sustainability and profiling someone before when you're doing your elimination of candidates. And then the last thing and the base of the triangle, the structure, is skills. Now, I very rarely ever come across anyone who is skills testing. Now, what that might look like, and depending on what software you're using, so we'll use Property Me as an example, is why would you not have that person come and show you, maybe you have a pre-assigned task that they've got to do, and that they're actually demonstrating the skill level that they have. And so I think what we do is we recruit too fast because we just want to put a band-aid on something. We do have very reactional business, is that we always want to be recruiting. And I've got many clients who create roles because they have a really good person that's going to add value to their business. And so if you have that, I guess, that overall strategy in your recruitment process, you're going to have a much better result. Is there any magic bullet? No, because we're dealing with human beings and human beings are very complex. They have a lot of things going on. And this is where your one-on-ones and your constant in terms of, we have like a weekly pulse report where we just do a check-in with everyone, how everybody's going. Because for a human being, and if you look at Maslow's hierarchical needs, the very highest state of contribution as a human being is that we want to give back to others and we want to contribute and we want to make an impact. And so looking at all of those things and who we have and our choices of people, and that's why we should look outside the industry and cross-train and look at those skills that they may bring from another industry.
Okay. So that framework, the triple impact framework, so it's character and skill. And then what about the energy viability?
Oh, it's structure, skill,
Yep.
and standards,
Structure,
right?
skill, and standards. Okay.
So the standards are character,
Yep.
okay? The structure is going to be in terms of putting the right person in the right role.
Yep.
And the skill is, are those people skilled, or what do I need to support them in those skills? And we need to be coaching people to say, how do we support you better? Got a quality control in an environment if you want to have better results.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, I could keep talking to you all day about this, but I am conscious of our time on the podcast today. I guess for somebody that is loving this conversation as I am, and you've got all the tools and resources for somebody, you can support them step by step because it is a complex, we're dealing with people here, right? It is very complex. So, what would be the best way for somebody to reach out to you and get some more clarity around recruitment and your triple impact framework? How do they upskill? How do they skill test? What's that look like?
Okay, so what I'd love to offer anyone who might like to reach out, we do a power planning session, right? Which is really it's a 45-minute complimentary session with me. And my goal is to give you as much value as I can within those 45 minutes and at least give you some solution to your three biggest problems that you have. And you certainly can just email me a power planning session and we'll get back on, give you a link into the calendar to have that. I found those sessions so valuable in terms of just, I think sometimes it's just talking through with someone who could maybe give you a little bit of advice and a couple of strategies in terms to see what you can try. And that could be just all you ever need from me. But we do have so much to offer working with business owners and just really supporting you like that. That's my whole goal is how do we support everyone to do better? And how do we give that? It's really tough being a business owner with legislation, with people since COVID. Like I know it's like a never ending statement since COVID, but people are different. The other thing, a lot of challenges that people have is that it's a sense of entitlement of people. And particularly when we look at our younger people, like we worked for an extended period of time to achieve what we achieve. They want to do it, they want to fast track it. And so some people can fast track it, but we need to have that pathway for them in terms of how do they get from here to here.
Absolutely. So I'll share all of your links in the show notes. Before we sign off, I just want to get your latest personal development tool, book, podcast, resource to support our crew listening today.
Okay. And I just actually did like a whole tech stack audit in my business. And I'll tell you my favorite, well, my couple of my favorite tools that I use. The first one is Fathom, which is your note taker.
The AI one for like when you have Zoom meetings and stuff.
Yeah, correct. So I do like a lot of team sessions, and our team sessions go like 2 hours. And so that is able to distill all of the key points from that conversation. From there, it then further gets enhanced through chat, where I do an insight report of the sentiment of the people in your team. Like AI is just like quite incredible because I look for certain patterns in languaging. From that, we can pick up the sentiment of the person. We collate all of the, we do a pre-survey and we have a post session with our team where with the business owner where we talk about what are their team, what have they said prior to the session, and what do they think about the leadership skills, what do they think about the communication. And that is just so valuable to get that like really extensive team report. And then that's about creating a pathway and moving forward of really looking at the gaps in your business. Do we have the right people sitting in the right roles? And then supporting you with the infrastructure. And also, like in my platform or the framework, we have a business owners boardroom. So we have a business boardroom where we bring in other experts and support them both in conversation and commercially in terms of how they can move their business forward.
And so what are the other tech stacks? Sorry.
Oh, okay. So I've got, yeah, all right. Let me
Yep.
just
So you have the Fathom.
chat,
Yeah.
GP,
Yep.
yeah, and Notion.
Notion.
I am a big Notion girl. It's a fantastic project management business, cheap as chips, but we run the whole back end of our business. So they're like really critical tools that we use, and they're tools that a business owner can use as well. Even if you're just using chat, Kylie, and we're having a conversation, or you want to capture notes when you're having a conversation with your team. Obviously, make sure that they know that you're recording. You can just put your chat on, and so it's taking all of the notes for you.
So good.
Right. And I am at the moment taking some courses in terms of like the chat's got so much capability, but it's a big learning curve. But it's definitely going to be the way of the future. And with a business, it's critical that you have people that are skilled within your business that have the ability to use AI.
Absolutely.
We talk a lot about AI replacing jobs. Those jobs will be replaced by people who can use AI. First and foremost, we're a service and a people-based business, and that is what's so incredibly important.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And no one better to support with their people than you, Julie Davis. So thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I'm always grateful for your wisdom and your insights. So much knowledge there for anyone to listen to and learn from. And if you want to reach out to Jules, all the links will be in the show notes.
Thanks, Kylie.
If you're ready to be a super organised, focused and productive property manager, buckle up, because Colmio is about to revolutionise the way that you work. Colmio is the driving force behind property management excellence in residential real estate. Now picture this, a comprehensive end-to-end system designed to be the beating heart of your property management tasks, manage your properties, owners and tenants, and handle payments, inspections, and even marketing listings without leaving the platform. Colmio is designed to be an all-in-one solution to all your property management needs. And here's the game changer. Colmio isn't just software. It's been awarded the most innovative prop tech scale up in 2023. Yes, you heard it right. Colmio has been recognised for their groundbreaking approach to property management software. How good is that? So property managers, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, dive into the future of property management with Colmio. You can book in a demo with the team today and go in their weekly draw for a Prezi gift card worth $100. All you need to do is to head to the link colmio.com/thatpropertymum, and Colmio is KOLMEO.
Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.